All right, chapter 5. The Rescue of the Tin Woodman. When Dorothy awoke, the sun was shining through the trees, and Toto had long been out chasing birds and squirrels. So he's doing, like, the Scarecrow's job. She sat up and looked around her. There was the Scarecrow, still standing patiently in his corner, waiting for her. "We must go and search for water," she said to him, something he could have been doing, instead of standing around. "Why do you want water?" he asked. "To wash my face clean after the dust of the road, and to drink, so my dry bread will not stick in my throat." What? Sorry, is that a thing that happens? Bread sticks in your throat? I've had a piece of bread, and things went just fine. "It must be inconvenient to be made of flesh," said the Scarecrow thoughtfully. You said it. Yes. "For you must sleep, and eat, and drink. However, you have brains, and it is worth a lot of bother to be able to think properly." They left the cottage and walked through the trees. Again, I think he meant around the trees. All of a sudden, they're just like passing through trees. Could be. With the talking crow, I wouldn't put it past him. So they walked through the trees until they found a little spring of clear water, where Dorothy drank and bathed and ate her breakfast. She saw there was not much bread left in the basket, and the girl was thankful that the Scarecrow did not have to eat anything, for there was scarcely enough for her and Toto for the day. When she finished her meal, blah, 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 and was about to go back to the road of the yellow brick, she was startled to hear a deep groan nearby. "What was that?" she asked, timidly. "I cannot imagine," replied the Scarecrow, "but we can go and see." Just then another groan reached their ears, and the sound seemed to come from behind them. They turned and walked through the forest a few steps, when Dorothy discovered something shining in a ray of sunshine that fell between the trees. She ran to the place and then stopped short with a cry of surprise. "Ah!" One of the big trees had been partly chopped through, and standing beside it with an uplifted axe in his hands was a man made entirely of tin. No. His arms and his legs were jointed upon his body, but he stood perfectly motionless, as if he could not stir at all. Dorothy looked up at him in amazement, and so did the Scarecrow, while Toto barked sharply, and he made a snap at the tin legs, which hurt his teeth. "Did you groan?" asked Dorothy.
"Yes," answered the Tin Man. "I did. I have been groaning for more than a year, and no one has ever heard me before or come to help me."
"What can I do for you?" she inquired softly, for she was moved by the sad voice in which the man spoke.
"Get an oil can and oil my joints,"
he answered.
"They are rusted so badly I cannot move them at all, and if I am well oiled I shall soon be all right again."
Hopefully she has, like, some vegetable oil with her bread.
"You will find an oil can on the shelf in my cottage."
Dorothy at once ran back to the cottage and found the oil can, and she returned and asked anxiously, "Where are your joints?" And she's the one with the brains. Yeah.
"Oil my neck first,"
replied the Tin Woodman. So she oiled it, and as it was quite badly rusted, the Scarecrow took hold of the tin head and moved it gently from side to side until it worked freely, and then the man could turn it himself. Yeah, I'm kind of getting to the age where it's the same for me. But I lather, like, olive oil in my neck. It helps so much.
"Now oil the joints in my arms,"
he said, and Dorothy oiled them, and the Scarecrow bent them carefully until they were quite free from rust and as good as new. The Tin Woodman gave a sigh of satisfaction, and he lowered his axe, which leaned against the tree.
"This is a great comfort,"
he said.
"I have been holding that axe in the air ever since I rusted, and I'm glad to be able to put it down at last."
To help get into the character, I've got some olive oil. I'm gonna put it on my legs. Sticky. It feels sticky. It doesn't actually help me feel less stiff. I'm starting to realize that was not only uncomfortable, but it has also not advanced the narrative in any significant way.
Now, if you will oil the joints of my legs, I shall be put all right once more.
So, they oiled his legs until he could move them freely. He thanked them again and again for his release, for he seemed a very polite creature and very grateful.
I might have stood there always if you had not come along,
He said.
So you have certainly saved my life. How did you happen to be here?
We are on our way to the Emerald City to see the Great Oz, she answered, and we stopped by your cottage to pass the night.
Why do you wish to see Oz?
He asked. Well, I want him to send me back to Kansas, and Scarecrow wants him to put a few brains into his head, she replied. I know we're all thinking the same thing. Why does he want a few brains? One should be fine. The Tin Woodman appeared to think deeply for a moment. I'm assuming he actually wasn't thinking deeply, he just appeared to. Then he said,
Do you suppose Oz could give me a heart?
Why, I guess so, Dorothy answered. It would be as easy as to give the Scarecrow brains.
True,
the Tin Woodman returned.
So if you would allow me to join your party, I will go to the Emerald City and ask Oz to help me.
I don't think he knows what a party means. Come along, said the Scarecrow heartily, and Dorothy added that she would be pleased to have his company. So, the Tin Woodman shouldered his axe, and they passed through the forest until they came to a road that was paved with yellow brick. The Tin Woodman had asked Dorothy to put the oil can in her basket.
For, he said, if I should get caught in the rain and rust again, I would need the oil can badly.
It was a bit of good luck to have their new comrade join the party, for as they had begun their journey again to the same place where the trees and branches grew so thick over the road that the travelers could not pass. But the Tin Woodman set to work with his axe, and chopped so well he cleared the passage for the entire party. Excellent. Now we actually have a useful character. Dorothy was thinking so earnestly as they walked along that she did not notice when the Scarecrow stumbled into a hole and rolled over to the side of the road. Sorry. First off, how big are these holes? Secondly, what? And thirdly, help him out. Indeed, he was obliged to call her to help him up again.
Why didn't you walk around the hole?
Asked the Tin Woodsman. Great question, buddy. Really good. I don't know enough, replied the Scarecrow cheerfully. My head is stuffed with straw, you know, and that is why I'm going to Oz to ask him for some brains. Okay, well, he knows now, right?
Oh, I see, said the Tin Woodman. But after all, brains are not the best things in the world.
Do you have any? Inquired the Scarecrow.
No, my head is quite empty,
answered the Woodman. Okay, but he can walk around a hole.
But once I had brains and I had a heart also. Having tried them both, I should much rather a heart.
This is a great kind of question to ponder and think about. Which would be better? And why is that? Asked the Scarecrow. So, while they were walking through the forest, the Tin Woodsman told them the following story. I hope this is good. We'll see.
I was born the son of a woodman who chopped down trees in the forest and sold my wood for a living. When I grew up, I became a wood chopper, and my father died, and I took care of my old mother as long as she lived. Then I made up my mind that instead of living alone, I would marry so I would not become lonely. There was one of the Munchkin girls who was so beautiful that I soon fell to love her with all my heart.
Ooh, little crush on the Munchkin. Wait, is he a Munchkin?
She, on her part, promised to marry me as soon as I could earn enough money to build a better house for her, so I set to work harder than ever. But the girl lived with an old woman who did not want her to marry anyone, for she was so lazy. She was the girl to remain with her and do the cooking and the housework. So the older woman went to the wicked witch of the east and promised her 2 sheep and a cow if she would prevent the marriage. Thereupon, the wicked witch enchanted my axe, and when I was chopping away at my best one day, for I was anxious to get a new house and my wife as soon as possible, the axe slipped all at once and cut off my left leg. This at first seemed a great misfortune, for I knew a one-legged man could not do very well as a wood chopper. So I went to a tinsmith and had him make a new leg out of tin. The leg worked very well once I got used to it. But my action angered the wicked witch of the east, for she had promised the old woman that I should not marry the pretty Munchkin girl. When I began chopping again, my axe slipped and cut off my right leg. Again, I went to the tinsmith, and again he made me he made me a leg out of tin. Whoops. After this, the enchanted axe cut off my arms, one after the other, but nothing daunted, I replaced them with tin ones. The wicked witch then made the axe slip and cut off my head, and I thought at first that was the end of me.
Yeah, I can see how you would think that.
But the tinsmith happened to come along, and he made a new head out of tin. I thought I had beaten the wicked witch then, and I worked harder than ever. But she thought of a new way to kill my love for the beautiful Munchkin maiden, and made my axe slip again, so that it cut right through my belly, splitting me into 2 halves. Once more the Tin Man came to help me make a body of tin, fastening my arms and my legs and my head to it, by means of joints, so that I could move around as well as ever. But alas, I had no heart, so I lost all my love for the Munchkin girl, and I did not care whether I married her or not. I suppose she is still living with the old woman, waiting for me to come after her. My body shone so brightly in the sun that I felt very proud of it, and it did not matter if my axe slipped, for it could not cut me. There was only one danger, that my joints would rust, but I kept an oil can in my cottage, and took care of myself wherever I needed it. However, for there came a day when I forgot to do this, and being caught in a rainstorm, but before I thought of the danger of my joints had rusted, and I was left to stand in the woods until you came to help me. It was a terrible thing to overgo, but during the year I stood there, and I had time to think about the greatest loss, and the greatest loss that I had known was the loss of my heart. Well, I was in love. I was the happiest man on the earth, but no one can love who has not a heart, and I'm resolved to ask Oz to give me one.
Yay! Both Dorothy and the Scarecrow had been intensely interested in the story of the Tin Woodman, and now they knew why he was anxious to get a new heart.
All the same, said the Scarecrow, I shall ask for brains instead of a heart, for a fool would not know what to do with a heart if he had one.
Little insensitive there, Scarecrow, not the time to bring it up.
I shall take the heart, for brains do not make one happy, and happiness is the best thing in the world.
Well, that's debatable. Dorothy did not say anything, for she was puzzled to know which of her 2 friends was right, and she decided if she could get back to Kansas and Aunt Em, it did not matter whether the woodsman had no brains and the Scarecrow had no heart, or if each got what he wanted. So Dorothy doesn't care about her friends whatsoever. And what worried her most was that the bread was nearly gone, and another meal for herself and Toto would empty the basket. To be sure, neither the Tin Woodman nor the Scarecrow ever ate anything, but she was not made of tin or straw, duh, and could not live unless she was fed. Next chapter, Dorothy gets rigor mortis. Just kidding. Next chapter is the Cowardly Lion.